Coming off a winning Monday night on the show, we try to come back with more winners today. We got baseball, WNBA, and an NHL future to look at on the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets.
This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Jack Bond with you. Jack once again in for Lee Sterling. Lee will return on Thursday, so Jack in the next few days. And looking forward to another big show today after we combined for a 3-1 record last night. A couple winners from Jack in baseball, hit our WNBA selection, so we'll go over that coming up in just a few moments. And we got a lot to talk about today with Major League Baseball, WNBA, and also the NHL starting next month, and like literally next month, end of September, not even early October. So Jack has an NHL future to look at, and we'll attack that coming up in just a little bit. But let's begin out in the desert for our MLB blowout special.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
The Cubs rolled past the Diamondbacks last night in their opening game out in Phoenix. So game 2 of their series tonight. And the Diamondbacks turn to their ace. It's not Zach Gallen. It's not Merrill Kelly, but it's someone who was in the bullpen for a bit before he came out, and he's the best pitcher in the rotation. So, Jack, you think the Diamondbacks can bounce back with Mr. Fott on the mound tonight?
I think so, and he might be even gunning with Eduardo Rodriguez for the ace. Those two together have been fantastic. I think we even talked about it last week that Rodriguez and Fott could realistically be some NL Cy Young contenders since probably mid-June. They've both been fantastic. In fact, if you even look at Fott's season-long numbers, he's been fantastic. Just straight up, he's 7-1 with a 3.39 ERA this year. And what I really like to do is to back really two situations. One, a home team who just got blown out in a series opener like Arizona did, especially when you're still in the playoff race and you've got a little bit of something to fight for. You're 2 games back of the wild card. But I also like to follow a good pitcher who struggled in his last start, and that was Brandon Pfaadt. Now, you'll remember his last start was right after Ketel Marte had sort of left the team. The Diamondbacks were in flux. We didn't really know where their season was going when all of a sudden their DH/second baseman left the team because he didn't want to DH. And he gave up 5 runs on 7 hits or 5 2/3 innings. But look what he did before that. In his last 28 innings leading up to that start in Boston, he had not given up a single run. He'd given up 15 hits, or excuse me, not an earned run. He'd given up 1 unearned run in his last 28 innings over 4 starts. So I trust him. His expected numbers look fantastic. Whereas when you look at Clay Holmes, he's been good for the Cubs since he came over there. But overall this year, his expected ERA is up near 4 when his current ERA is at 2.49. So I think there could be some regression for him. There probably could be a lot of regression for a lot of these starting pitchers who have filled in for the Cubs this year. I think Arizona is a good team to back early tonight. Give me the Diamondbacks money line -108. We'll go with a level 2 lock.
And also, too, Brandon Pfaadt, the Diamondbacks, 9-1 in his last 10 starts. The loss came to the Dodgers in extra innings. So he's pitched well. Even the start you mentioned, he wasn't great in. They still beat the Red Sox. So they continue to win with him. They give him a lot of run support. And we'll see if they can rebound tonight against the Cubs. And they're right outside the playoff picture in the wild card race inside the National League. I mean, if you put the Diamondbacks in the American League West, they'd be running away with the division. Unfortunately, they're behind the Dodgers in the National League West. So we'll see if Arizona rebounds tonight. Now, 3-1 yesterday on the picks. The loss was a home run pick. And, okay, fine. Like, you take a shot there, and it was a loser there in the A's game. But the winners, though, the Guardians, they took care of business against the Angels. All of a sudden, Cleveland's woken up from the dead a little bit recently. And also Pittsburgh, nice bounce back after they were swept by the Dodgers. San Diego had swept Minnesota, but the Pirates knocked off the Padres. So a couple good wins out west by those road teams.
Yeah, similar situation for the Pirates last night that we had with the Diamondbacks tonight. With coming off a sweep, you kind of got embarrassed over the weekend, and you need some kind of bounce back. Braxton Ashcraft has been light years better than Paul Skeens this year. It's pretty impressive what this kid has done. Jared Jones was another young pitcher supposed to come in and make a big impact, and he hasn't done it yet. So Ashcraft has really kept them afloat. The Tommy White bet, again, he had another ball that was hit, I think, 380 feet for a line out. So that, that was a shot. We took one, but that's why we take those. And you had a chance. And the Guardians themselves, they're taking advantage of a pretty weak schedule. They made it relatively sweat free throughout the night. Once you get to that Guardians bullpen and they're playing well, the Guardians they're about as locked down as anybody in baseball. So I didn't expect much of a pushback from the Angels late last night. They don't have much to push back for.
And the Guardians, who swept the Rockies, they beat the Angels, like you mentioned, a very easy schedule. White Sox lost at home to the Rangers last night. So the Guardians 2.5 back. Like Cleveland, we've seen them do this before, that they can go on that September run. And again, we're still in August, but Cleveland could maybe jump Chicago when it's all said and done. The White Sox have had a fantastic season. We'll see how it turns out. They may not even win the division. And Cleveland, who kind of was stumbling along, now they're picking it up a little bit. They have the starting pitching to do it. And the lineup's not great, but if they can keep winning games they're supposed to win, we'll see if Cleveland can end up maybe making a run. I find it funny too, just quickly on Baltimore. I'm just looking at the standings now. Baltimore's in last place and still has a shot to be in the playoffs, which is insane right now heading into tonight's action. I mean, Baltimore's 2.5 out of the wild card, and they're in last place in the American League East, which is silly.
Well, and they haven't been world beaters to remain in the playoffs race either. They're 5-5 in their last 10. And you look at these teams, it looks like just about everybody in AL playoff contention is either at or below 500 against teams with winning records. We talked about it for weeks now. That it could give you a heart attack just looking through the standings every morning. You never know where your team's going to end up, even if they do win a game. I think the White Sox, they've been a little bit better on the road this year, but over the last couple of months. But as far as the chances to win the AL Central, now would be the time to jump on Cleveland. If you ever, and this is some advice I give to people all the time, if you like a team to win the division or even win the pennant, and they're not in first place in the division, the time to bet them is towards the end of August, very beginning of September, because Major League Baseball intentionally schedules these divisional rivals for these 3 and 4 game series to close out the year. They want the action. And that's a 2-game swing. If you're on the Guardians right now and they're going to play the White Sox for a 3-game series by the end of the year, a win against the White Sox is not just a half-game jump. It's a full game jump when you're pulling the White Sox down. So now's the time to start looking in those betting odds, and maybe we'll even have some thoughts to share on tomorrow's show about sort of a last-minute division winner, whether it's in the AL Central or elsewhere.
Right now, the Guardians are at FanDuel. They're plus 250 win the AL Central. That's not bad, considering you're right there. White Sox are minus 185. And again, Chicago's had a great season, but do you trust them for another 30-plus games? That, it's not like you're going into the weekend, a 2.5-game lead, hope to hold it. You still got a long time to go here in the season, and Cleveland could be worth a look at plus 250, considering really their starting pitching is just better than Chicago. So we'll see how that one turns out.
I'll add something too.
Yeah.
Not only is Jose Ramirez back, but he's starting to play well, and he looks healthy and happy out there in the baseball field. So that there might not be a single player in baseball who means more to his team than Jose Ramirez does. So that's certainly worth keeping in mind if you're going to look at a bet for the AL Central this last month of the season.
Yeah, it's very true that he's their MVP, one of the top players in the American League, and they missed him for a period of time, and it showed when he was out of the lineup, and now he's back. And Cleveland, again, right there, they are the third wild card team heading into tonight's action. We'll have one more baseball play coming up. Also, the other winner we had, I told you we had to have a celebration for this, Jack. The Valkyries finally beat the Lynx. It took them 10 tries over 2 years, but they beat them last night in Minnesota as a dog. So hit that one. So with that being said, let's now move on to our WNBA wrong team favorite.
What the WTF?
Well, sad news because we have less than a week left of WNBA regular season action before they take a little bit of a break for a tournament. So you got to get all your WNBA picks in now before there's a hiatus for the next 3 weeks starting Monday. So with that being said, we're going to take the Phoenix Mercury tonight. They're plus 1.5 at home against the Washington Mystics. Now, a couple things here. One, I got to put this out there. Phoenix owns the worst home record in the league. But with that being said, Kelsey Plum will make her home debut for the Mercury. When she got traded from the Sparks, she joined them on a road trip, and then she ended up getting hurt. So she has not played a home game yet for Phoenix. So now you throw her into the lineup against a Washington team that just clinched a playoff berth over the weekend. They came back from 14 down to beat Portland on Sunday. So Washington's ready in the playoffs. They're set. Now it's just about seeding, but they'll probably be a 7 or 8 when it's all said and done. But also the Mystics beat the Mercury by 20 in their first matchup this year, actually back in early August in D.C. So, Phoenix will look for some revenge tonight against Washington. They play each other twice over the next 3 nights. So the Mystics remaining out west, I think, though, Phoenix should be a bit motivated after losing the last 2 at home. It's been a disappointing season after they made the WNBA Finals last year, but with Plum in the lineup tonight, should get a bit of a boost. So let's take the Mercury as a short home dog against the Mystics as our WNBA wrong team favorite.
All right, I like it. The that fade that's excuse me, that situation to fade a team right after they clinch a spot in the postseason. It applies in every single sport. You see it happen in baseball and hockey all the time. If they clinch a postseason spot in the regular season, they're popping champagne in the locker room, they're celebrating on the court. The next game is always a letdown. It's an emotional drag on the team. So I like it. I'm going to fade Washington right after they clinch the postseason spot. It works with me.
And also, as one other note, I forgot to mention this too, Jack, that the Mystics this year, 9-8 on the road, not bad, not great, not bad, but they, off of their 3 road wins, they have, or let me rephrase that. They've won 3 times off of a road win, okay? In those 3 situations, they were a double-digit dog, and a 6.5-point dog. So they're a 1.5-point favorite. You were heavy dogs twice. They beat New York and Minnesota on the road. They beat Vegas at home as a home dog, coming off road wins. Now you're off a road win in Portland. You came back in that game, had a 40-point fourth quarter, and now you're laying 1.5. So you're not even a dog here. So that's why also I like the situation with Phoenix. That Washington, I just feel like this is going to be a letdown for them after that victory over Portland. So we're going to take the Mercury here as that play in the WNBA. We still have more to get to. We have another home run prop that we're looking forward to. Big game inside the National League. And also, Jack has got some thoughts on a play for the Anaheim Ducks for the upcoming NHL season. So we'll get to all of that straight ahead. You are listening to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their next game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. And the list for today, it's a good one. For Daily Dingers on FanDuel, you have Yordan Alvarez of the Astros, also Bobby Witt Jr. from the Red Hot Royals. Where do they come from? All of a sudden, they've caught fire. Shohei Ohtani of the Dodgers, Pete Crow Armstrong of the Chicago Cubs. They're in Arizona tonight. Kyle Schwarber of the Phillies, also Matt Olson of the Braves. They take on Ohtani and the Dodgers in Atlanta. Ben Rice of the Yankees, and a couple other hitters on that list that you could choose from on FanDuel. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. Now I want to tell you about our friends at Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform, from sales and accounting to inventory and marketing. Everything works in one place. Odoo is one platform to manage, grow, and scale your business. And the best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. And really, when you look at a lot of successful organizations in either pro or college sports, really it's about long-term plans. Nothing is just reactionary. They have a vision, they stick to it, and now you see the results because everyone works for the same playbook, and that's how they become successful. And great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try it for free today at odoo.com/locked-on. That's odoo.com/locked-on. We continue the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Jack Bond with you here on this Tuesday. Dodgers, Braves, big series in Atlanta. We'll see if maybe these teams will see each other in October. But it's time now for MLB Hidden Gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
And with this matchup tonight in Atlanta, will we see someone going deep from the Dodgers, Jack?
I think so. I think Max Muncy is the guy to bet. Now, you got the wind blowing out tonight, so that's the first thing you always need to check with these home run props, these hitter props in general. And you've got Bryce Elder, who, in my opinion, among these quality playoff potential starters, a guy who's top 3 in his team's rotation, he is probably the most home run susceptible guy I can find. I'm living in Nashville. I watch his starts as a Brave closely because we get Braves games here on our local network. And when he has his blow-up starts, he has bad blow-up starts, and they are home run heavy starts. He's given up a home run in 11 of his last 12 starts. He actually ranks 15th for the most home runs allowed among pitchers in baseball as well. But in those last 12 starts where he's allowed, in those last 11 out of 12 starts where he's allowed a home run, he's allowed multiple home runs in 5 of them. Now, he's a fly ball pitcher. He gives up hard contact well above league average. And Max Muncy, he's a feast or famine kind of guy at the plate. He's one of the leaders in Major League Baseball in his pull air percentage. So the percentage of balls that he pulls in the air, he's top 10 in baseball in home runs on the road, and he's still at 26. He's got 4 home runs in his last 14 games. So in a big game like this tonight, Bryce Elder is not a guy I can trust. If I want to look to fade him, I'd much rather take Muncy to hit a home run at plus 340 than to lay the juice with a guy like Tyler Glass now, at minus 150 and just the Dodgers to win. So I'm going to see if I can get Muncy to sneak one into the Crawford boxes or whatever they're called, the boom box in Atlanta. I forget the name of those, or take advantage of that wind and a fly ball pitcher. So give me Max Muncy, a little hidden gem, plus 340 to hit a home run tonight in Atlanta.
Yeah, and we know Bryce Elder is susceptible to giving up the long ball. So we'll see how Muncy and the Dodgers respond tonight after their sweep of the Pirates, now heading out east to face the Braves. So we transition from one Southern California team to another. NHL, the Anaheim Ducks, who made a run to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs last year in Joel Quenneville's first season as head coach. What can they do this year? Time now for our NHL Bet a Little, Win a Whole Lot.
They say you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So bet a little, win a lot.
Last year, the Anaheim Ducks, they were right there in the Pacific Division. You had Anaheim and Vegas and even Edmonton. They're kind of a merry-go-round a little bit atop the division, and Anaheim knocked Edmonton out in the first round. They lost to Vegas in the second round, but you saw a lot of improvement with that Ducks franchise with Quenneville at the helm. So can the Ducks make the next step in the West this year, Jack?
They're positioned to do so. They were really the talk of the NHL this offseason with the Leo Carlsson threatened offer sheet, and then they signed him to an $18 million contract in the offseason. And everybody thinks they're going to be buried by that. But I don't really think that's a concern for them this year. All it means is they've got their roster outside of Cutter Gauthier, their star winger who's going to be putting up 40 goals for the next 10 years of his career. Other than him, they've got their entire roster locked up. They lost guys on the back end on defense that I actually am not a big fan of just for their Stanley Cup chances. Radko Gudas, John Carlson, Jacob Trouba have all moved on with contracts from other teams, and they actually traded Gudas away, so they were able to get a piece back for him. So I'm not too worried about their defensive depth as much as I was last year. Those guys are older; they're not as good as they were. Their goaltending is set. Now, Lucas Dostal struggled a little bit in the postseason, but I think he's a far better goalie moving forward than John Gibson is. And this team can score 3.5, 4 goals a game. I'm not worried about them offensively. Where I was worried about them was their playoff experience. They really didn't have much. And when they added those big D-men last year, that helped them make it to the playoffs. And I think that helped them learn a lot. But we always say this in sports, you have to learn how to lose before you can learn how to win a Stanley Cup. I think they're getting to that point now. They're in a Pacific division that's going to look a lot different and probably a little bit worse this year with the Oilers and even the Vegas Golden Knights going through quite a bit of change this year. Vancouver is going to be probably the worst team in the league yet again, and nobody else in there really scares me. So with Joel Quenneville at the helm, this is a different organization. He's changed everything about them, and I think if they can get Cutter Gauthier locked into a contract for this year, this team could easily threaten for the Western Conference. I'm surprised they're at plus 1,600. I would have had them at 10-1, maybe even 9-1. So give me the Anaheim Ducks to win the Western Conference. Bet a little, win a whole lot. Maybe we'll be popping champagne for them and for the Valkyries after this offseason.
It's funny you mentioned the Vegas and Edmonton both with coaching changes. That Mike Babcock now in Edmonton, and we'll see how that turns out with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, how all that dynamic works. And Vegas gets the Stanley Cup final with Torts, and they still didn't want to keep him, so they made a coaching change there. And Quenneville went through his first season in Anaheim, it's now his second year, and you have teams like Calgary and Vancouver that are kind of San Jose is going to be better. Like, we know the Sharks will be improved. I don't know if they're going to get to they could be the Ducks maybe from last year. That's what the Sharks could maybe be this year, right, with Celebrini and with some of the young guys that they're obviously improved. But the big question will be, can Anaheim knock off Colorado? Can they knock off Dallas or Minnesota? Those are the teams that are threatening out of the Central Division. But look, you get into the playoffs. Nobody thought Vegas would knock Colorado out. So it does get to a point, if you can get in the best of 7 in the playoffs, that you never know if you can win a few rounds.
Well, and nobody really thought Anaheim would knock Edmonton out either. Right. You have these series every year. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is a year that Edmonton takes a step back in the regular season, they're the 7 or 8 seed, the wild card, and then you see maybe a Ducks-Sharks matchup in the first round in that 2-3 matchup. And that would be awesome. 2 of the fastest teams in hockey, 2 of the youngest teams in hockey. Again, I would favor the Ducks heavily in that series, primarily because they do have the playoff experience. It seems like playoff experience matters more in the NHL than maybe it does in other leagues. Yeah,
and San Jose, a team to keep an eye on as well to maybe get in. We saw Utah get in last year, and they gave Vegas a run for their money in the first round. So, it should be pretty exciting with the Ducks. We'll have plenty more, NHL as the season approaches coming up next month. So a lot going on, Jack, with Paramount Sports, with the final week of the preseason coming up this week. College football starting Saturday with week 0, UFC, so much going on with Paramount Sports.
Yeah, I'm getting antsy, man. We've got our college football and NFL early bird special up on the website right now if you want to go check it out. MLB continues to stay hot. We gave out the Guardians on the podcast yesterday and to our clients, which means we're 9-0 in our last 9 picks in baseball. NHL, like we said today, it's barely a month away. We're starting the season a little earlier this year. So keep an eye out for that package becoming available on the website as well. That website is ParamountSports.com, or you can give us a call at the office, 800-400-9741.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets, as well as the podcast version you can find on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Type in Locked On Bets, and you'll be all set. And don't forget to leave a comment, leave us a like, and we really appreciate all of your support. For Jack Bond, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.